Hey, I'm Rue. I'm an adventure filmmaker, and today I'm in Utah to document some of the most iconic crack climbs in the desert. There are a lot of skills you need to become a successful rock climbing filmmaker, but I'm going to break it down into 4 main categories. Let's dive in.
Falling.
So the first category of how to film rock climbing, the skills we need is rope work. With rope work, the biggest question to start is how do you get the rope to the top?
And the answer is it's not easy. You gotta have somebody climb it first, or at least have a cliff that you can wrap off of. But here in the creek, these cliffs are big, so we got to have somebody lead the route first. It's gonna be me, and I'll trail it up. You know, I'll attach it right here to my tail.
Once Noah gets to the anchors, he's gonna set up an anchor for me in addition to another anchor, a top rope anchor for someone else. And so I will be using this rope to ascend on once it's up. So Noah's gonna climb, then I'll show you how to put the ascenders on and how I jug up the rope. So I'm starting the yo-yo system, a system that works really well for me. There are faster ways to get up the wall, but I like this way because this is a good system that allows me to go up and down the wall, allowing me to get different angles of the athlete and the climber going up. So we're starting the system with the gree-gree. You attach the gree-gree to the rope just like you would if you were belaying. Putting the little climber guy up. Once it's there, you connect the belay device to your harness and you are good to go. And we're gonna go up the wall. Wait, just kidding, there's more to do. Then we're gonna take the ascender. The ascender allows you to ascend up the rope. Very important piece of gear for what we're doing. Gonna attach the ascender, rope going up, there's a little arrow, attach the teeth. This allows us to go up, but not down. You may be concerned about these teeth damaging your rope, but it actually doesn't damage your rope. These little teeth kind of puncture through the already existing weaves of the fabric, so it won't damage your rope. It is totally safe. Then, once the ascender's on, I'm gonna clip this carabiner there, which I'll talk through more later. But next up, we're gonna take this series of quick draws and this sling. I like to have 2 quick draws and a medium length alpine draw sling, and I connect that to the bottom of the ascender. This is for our feet for when we're ascending. You can put your feet through the loop, push down on the loop, and stand up. Next and finally, we're gonna take this brake strand of the gree-gree and we're gonna put it through this carabiner here, like so. This is used as a sort of lever, so you'll see when I pull down, it will bring my waist up, like so. So in order to get up the wall, you bring the ascender up, you pull the brake strand down. While you're pulling down on this brake strand, you're gonna stand up on your right foot and bring your waist up. One final check before you head up the wall is that you have your camera. I don't, so that's an important factor to bring up, but also that your carabiners are locked. You can take off the ascender, but if you take off the gree-gree, you're gonna fall. So you don't wanna take off the gree-gree at any point. When you're going down, all you need to do is take off the ascender, like so, and clip it to your harness, and you are good to lower off your gree-gree like so. As you ascend up the rope, a good thing to do is tie stopper knots. This is to prevent you from falling all the way down. Although a gree-gree is a great safety device, it is not technically licensed to have a totally hands-free approach. So I like to tie stopper knots as I go up the rope. Just 1 or 2 once you get 10 or 20 feet up, just to prevent any catastrophes that may happen while you're out here. And what knot am I tying? Feel free to leave a comment below if you know. And you can see it won't interfere with your system because as you ascend, your stopper knot will just fall lower and lower, but just a nice safety tool to prevent any catastrophes. Like I said, this is a system that works well for me for a single pitch route. If you're doing multi-pitches or big wall, there are faster systems, there are easier systems. But like I said, I like this system for giving myself some added mobility on the wall. But if you're really interested in filming big walls and big adventures, seeking out a local mountaineering course or a local rock climbing course with a local mountain guide could be a great way to learn these skills as well. So it's hot and it's sunny, but we're having fun. I'm having fun. These guys are tired.
Kind of.
They're kind of having fun. Chris is about to go send it.
I'm having fun.
Chris thinks he's having fun. We're about to head up on this way. I'll be on one of the ropes. Chris will be leading the route on another. I got this GoPro on my helmet, so it'll give some behind the scenes of what it looks like when I'm actually on the wall filming. One thing I find to be really important when filming a climb like this is having a level camera, because you're wanting to portray the steepness and grade of the climb to be as accurate as possible. If I were to rotate my camera this way,
suddenly it looks a lot less steep. And if you were to communicate it this way, it looks more steep. So having a level, steady camera can help ensure that you're documenting this as factually and accurately as possible.
Nice. Keep it going. How do you feel?
I feel good now that I'm done. During, I was so scared. I haven't climbed in a minute, so I'm just like reminding myself, oh yeah, I know how to climb rocks.
So we're up on the wall, and when it comes to the second skill you need to master filming rock climbing, you need to master your camera settings. When it comes to camera settings, I like to think of only 3 things when I'm up here. You're jugging up a rope, there's a climber, there's a lot of things going on. So I like to keep 3 things in mind. The first, keeping it steady. Shaky footage is always bad in any discipline, but especially in rock climbing. It can really take the viewer out of the moment. So when we're on the wall, I like to think of a few things to keep it steady. The first, shooting on a wide lens. If you're at 105 millimeters and you're really tight, it's hard to keep that steady. You can do it for a little bit, but for a sustained, long 2-minute take of a climber going up a route, try to choose a wide angle lens. Right now, I'm shooting on the 14 millimeter G Master 1.8 lens, and this is my favorite lens to film rock climbing because it's so wide and it can really capture the whole entire route and the whole experience that the climber is going through. There are a few other tips to keep it steady. One, just be conscious of keeping your hands steady. I know it sounds really simple, but it can go a long way when you're up here, and also have internal stabilization on. Next up, exposure. As you can tell right now, the exposure isn't totally ideal. The bottom is overexposed, the route is in the shade. So when it comes to getting the best footage possible, try to pick a route that has even exposure values, so either all in the sun or all in the shade. Sometimes you're not totally in control of what the lighting's gonna do if you're filming a more documentary expedition approach, but if you're filming a commercial, try to make sure you have even lighting across the background and your route. So right now, I would expose for the route. If you expose for the ground, this route that's in the shade might be too dark. So because we're trying to focus on what the climber is actually doing, exposure of the route is always a good, safe bet, even if it means the back is overexposed. The third tip is being in focus. This is a little bit easier said than done. You would think, oh, I'll just put it on autofocus and it will totally nail it, but that's not totally the case. Because there's a wall right in front of your camera often, the autofocus may choose to focus on the route and the wall and the rock rather than where your climber's hands are getting placed. How I like to alleviate that situation is by putting my camera on manual focus and using my shutter button as an autofocus to grab the subject, make sure the subject's in focus, and then I will use my left hand and my pinky to push and pull focus from there. So I'm just making very small adjustments as they go up the route, but I'll use autofocus to initially grab the subject to make sure I'm not totally off. Okay, let's get down and we'll talk about the next skill. The third category to master when it comes to filming rock climbing is shot variety. What I mean by shot variety is not just filming the same type of thing over and over and over again. It's very exciting to film from a wide angle lens on a route as we've seen so far, but that's not what makes a good rock climbing film. What makes a good rock climbing film is having drone shots and tight shots and a wide variety of angles that you can use to piece together to create a film. Like I've mentioned in other videos, having good shot variety can take your film from good to great. I've helped edit some of the films for Real Rock, which is an amazing rock climbing film festival. If you want to check out some of those videos that I've helped make and some of the other ones that I wasn't a part of at all, check out the link in the description. There's amazing rock climbing films on Real Rock. But what I've noticed when I edit those is that every single moment that these pro athletes are going through is captured from a variety of angles. Sometimes they're capturing it via drone, sometimes they're capturing it on a gimbal, sometimes on a tripod from a long way away. So giving yourself options when you're creating these films is the key to success. So real quickly, there are 3 different focal lengths that you can use. There's the wide shot. This is great for landscapes. This is great for showing the entire route. You have a medium shot, which is kind of your go-to shot that you would normally take with your phone. If you were filming a friend from a certain angle, you're likely gonna be shooting from like the waist up. That's kind of a medium shot. A tight shot is amazing in rock climbing, and like you've seen in my other rock climbing tutorial, filming rock climbing thrives in its specificity. The more specific you can get, the better you can communicate the challenge of this climb. So by showing specific hand jams or foot or crimp or any sort of rock climbing move very close up can help communicate what the climber is doing to the audience. So having a wide, medium, and tight shot can help ensure that your audience is hooked on what you're doing.
Cool.
Now comes the different angles that you can get. One of my favorite angles to capture while rock climbing is going up on the rope, as we've seen, and shooting from the top down. This just feels very immersive with the climber and one of my favorite ways. The second way to do it is a wide shot from the side. Having a side angle allows the viewer to also see the landscape depending on what the route is. By seeing the landscape, it can kind of help position you in the space. The final way to do it, and this is one of the more simple ways, but it can be very effective when communicating a good rock climbing story, and that's just a shot straight at the route. This is really important for just communicating what the climber is doing at a very basic level. You can have a tight shot and be panning up with the tripod, or you can just have a wide shot and kind of let the climber climb through the frame. By pointing the camera directly at the route, it's kind of a storytelling shot. It allows you to view what the climber is doing at a very basic level. It may not be the most glamorous, but it is still very important. Finally, drones. Noah and I are gonna walk you through what we look for when we fly drones, but stick around because there's still a fourth skill that you need to master how to film rock climbing. Okay, so a large part of filming climbing is capturing a variety of angles. One of the ways to do that is with the drone. So we're gonna launch the drone and fly so we can cover every single inch of this route. So later when we wanna animate a line to show what the route is that the climbers are gonna tackle, a drone's a great way to do that. It also is a great way to establish landscapes and the environment in which we're in. But right now we're gonna use it sort of as a tool to document the route that the climbers went on today. So Noah, our accomplished climber, is now gonna fly and look at how gnarly the route was that he just accomplished.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through like what you're looking at and what you're trying to...
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of like super stable drone shots and just shots in general. I love when as a viewer I can just kind of take in the scene and not really be forced to like be confined to this movement that's preset. So I like to have very subtle movement.
It's very easy to get caught up in the excitement of drones and want to fly fast and want to do big circular movements. But when documenting climbing, simple is best. So a nice, slow, steady drone shot can go a long way to sharing a climbing story.
Something to help you get slow movement is put it in cine mode if you have a DJI drone. This makes the movement of the drone much slower and less responsive. So basically, it's not so finicky to get this perfect movement. Like right now I'm just getting this perfect pull back that's super slow. You know, I can always speed it up in post, so I always prefer to go for super slow if I can. Something I like to do to give myself even more flexibility in post is shoot at 30 frames per second, which allows me to slow it down to 80% speed if I need to. I don't have to, it's just giving myself that extra choice, you know.
The nice thing about 30 frames per second is you don't have to slow it down and it won't look weird. Like if you were to not slow down 120 frames per second, the shutter speed might be off, but 1/50 compared to 1/60 is not a huge difference. So we like to film in 30 frames per second with our drones because if there are any slight bumps or jitters, you can slow it down to 80%, which goes a long way in creating nice, smooth, stable footage, which when you're flying drones for climbing is what it's all about. The fourth and final skill we need to capture amazing rock climbing footage is all about directing the climbers. We've talked a lot about run and gun adventure filmmaking here on this channel, and today especially we've been talking all about rock climbing filmmaking in a sort of documentary capacity, trying to capture climbers while they're climbing. This is a little bit more of a commercial skill set when you're trying to make a photo rather than take a photo. This applies to photography, of course, but it also applies to filmmaking. In order to tell the best story, sometimes you have to fake it a little bit. Sometimes you don't have the opportunity to get a close-up of a hand when they're doing their send attempt. So going back at the end.
Okay, how'd that look?
Good, yeah, do it one more time.
And staging things is a great way to get the best possible footage. So let's dive into the section all about directing climbing. So we are up in the wall. Chris, our athlete, is gonna come up and we're gonna stage some stuff. So, just after sunset, beautiful environment. It is like the best situation you can get in for taking good photos, which is why we're here, because we want to take good photos and capture good videos. Some of this process will be staged, as you will see, but I'm gonna get in position and lower down so we can get Chris right at the most iconic, beautiful vista of the climb. The goal with this is just over-communicate with your athlete. They're obviously doing something pretty interesting and pretty cool, but you don't want to not communicate your vision effectively, because what's in your head may not be what's in their head. So I have this beautiful image in mind of Chris climbing right here, this amazing landscape behind him, and there's beautiful foreground, midground, and background, such amazing depth. Just after sunset, the light's even, it's not gone, and the colors are still around. So yeah, he's gonna be climbing up and we'll get some good stuff. So now I'm in the position to really start to capture that like dream photo and dream shot that's in my head. So Chris is gonna start to climb through the frame here.
Dark Derek's.
Nice, Chris. Well done.
Nice, dude. Amazing.
He's repping his sponsored gear, Horizons level.
Shout out Dark Derek's.
Shout out Dark Derek's. Nice, we're gonna clip this one twice. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, and then I'm gonna get right up close. This is the faking it part of the filmmaking process. So when I go to edit something together later. Okay, I'm gonna switch to photos. So just climb slowly here. Awesome, yeah, look out, maybe shake out here. Maybe like look up the route and shake out, there you go. Awesome. It's also worth noting here that we are on a route that is well within Chris's ability, because if you're trying to stage and do a lot of this on a route that's very difficult, where they don't have opportunities to rest, it can be a lot on the athlete. You good to rest there for a hot sec?
Yeah.
If not, like, let me know at any point.
Oh, you're good.
Don't be a hero.
I'm a hero.
He's a hero. Okay, I think this is our shot. So here's what I'm envisioning, Chris. You're gonna climb up, get to a good spot, and we're just gonna like place down, place down. So we're just gonna repeat the same motion multiple times, just so it looks like you're climbing.
Okay.
Nice, Chris. Wow, these lines right here are really cool. Sweet, all right, climb slow here once you get it. This is it, dude. This is the photo I was looking for. Okay, let's go a little bit higher. We're almost done here. Kind of losing light. I'm gonna get a nice top-down shot, so I'll get right up at the top here. Now that we're at the top of the climb, I like to just show off a little bit of the scale of what we're doing. Since we got our beautiful side angle shot, now let's get that big old top down. I will say that even if you learn something in this video, you will learn a bazillion times more being outside and filming rock climbing for yourself. Start small, work your way up. I am constantly still trying to learn and get better at making more beautiful visuals and telling more meaningful stories in the rock climbing space. If you wanna check out my website with all of my rock climbing films, or subscribe to my newsletter to stay up to date on when my next rock climbing films are gonna be coming out. There's a link in the description. I love you, I'm proud of you for putting yourself out there and learning new things. Have the best day ever. Woo!